Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Im letzten Part haben wir eine prima Ballerina getroffen und haben uns ein wenig mit der unterhalten, hatten unseren ersten Dance of Deduction, den ich immer noch mega cool fand. Und jetzt geht es weiter. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we would manage to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We will never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? Slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, also wir kommen ja hier an dem großen Herrn erstmal gar nicht mehr vorbei. Wir kommen auch von diesem Deck nicht runter. Also haben wir eigentlich nur die Möglichkeit, wieder in Kasumas Kabine zu gehen. Wirklich andere Möglichkeit haben wir gerade gar nicht. Looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he would lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Ich sehe jetzt wohl hier. Ah ja. Oha. Ah, you're back. Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They are just scratches. Made by a beer, maybe. When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he would pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he would lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballad fan wouldn't know the graceful angel? Ich frage mich immer noch, was der hat. Warum die ganze Zeit Blut hustet. Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case at least. Oh, how? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I've definitely upsetted him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. There is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Burious medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? Kazuma-sama? So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebra is what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Oh, danke für die Übersetzung, weil ich war gerade komplett verwirrt. Ich wusste gerade nicht, ich wusste leider nicht, wie genau ich das übersetzen soll. Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I would never have agreed to have you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Okay, a report from the SS Burious medical officer giving the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. There were no traces of extreme injury or poison. Mr. Shams was here, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now you mention it, yes, just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass, do you see? Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Shams know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Susato-san? Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan. Dark tan? Sort of dark brownish red then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? The mark on the floor has been entered in a court record. Okay, a piece of small glass object and what looks like a scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector, you look exhausted. Oh no, well... I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? It's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. Gut, dann lasst uns einmal kurz in die Gerichtsakte gucken. Okay, report. Okay, da steht jetzt nicht mehr dabei. Ah, hier. Okay, victim, male for Eastern, time of death. Sometime between 1 a.m. and a little past 2 a.m. Cause of death. Damage to the cerebral vertebrae resulting in instant death. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow to the area. No obvious external injuries or traces of poison. Ich frage mich, was mir nämlich aufgefallen ist in beiden Kabinen, war, dass die Bücher und die Statue in dieselbe Richtung umgefallen sind. Es kann doch jetzt auch sein, dass das Problem ist, ich weiß, was das Speckled Band war in dem Sherlock Holmes Roman, also in der Sherlock Holmes Kurzgeschichte. Und ich weiß jetzt nicht, ob es dasselbe Speckled Band dann hier ist. Und wenn es dasselbe ist, zählt es. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich das dann so schon sagen möchte. Aber es könnte doch auch sein, dass er sich. Dass er, keine Ahnung, dass es sehr stürmisch war. Und dass das Schiff eventuell ja, heftig geschwankt hatte. Und dass er dann vielleicht irgendwo gegengeknallt ist. Und sich dann, also unglücklich gegengeknallt ist und sich dann das Genick gebrochen hat. Kann das nicht auch eine Möglichkeit sein? Während er mit dem Speckled Band zu tun hatte. Es ist schwer für mich, da ein bisschen rum zu manövrieren. Ich finde es nur nicht immer so toll, wenn man eventuell mehr Informationen hat, als man jetzt eigentlich schon in dem Spiel weiß. Und das dann immer sagt, das mag ich immer nicht, deswegen möchte ich jetzt so ein bisschen drum herum manövrieren.
Look, Naruhodo-san. Seaman Stroganoff is gone.
Strong enough?
The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us.
Ooh, all these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tralala. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. Oh my god. Tralala, lira, lira, lay. I did it the great detective way.
Miss Caroline, I know that lark-like voice.
Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us.
Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate.
Definitely. Before that, Stringy Knot. Stroganoff? Crewman comes back.
It's Stroganoff, not Stringy Knot.
Okay. Dann würde ich sagen, gehen wir mal in die Kabine. Ah, der Koffer ist offen. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susato-san. Where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things.
There's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can.
I suppose you're right, for Kazuma's sake.
Not just for Kazuma-sama.
What do you mean?
It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there.
Really?
We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san, by ourselves if we have to.
Yes, we will. Okay, dann würde ich einmal sagen, gucken wir uns hier einmal um. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one.
Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though.
It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin.
Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballad pose and fell against the bookcase?
I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballad on the same night she ran away from her ballad company?
Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage.
Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know?
Well, anyway, I will set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open.
It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there.
Yes, a friend that she had to keep a secret.
Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the Astoria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now?
Naruhodo-san, are you there?
Sorry, I'm right here, yes. Why?
Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home.
Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know?
Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes.
I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too.
Yes, it's a belt cord. I can't resist.
He barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug too.
No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come.
We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door.
Yes, although what a fool of shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room.
Maybe it's so that if there is a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm.
Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning.
That is a possibility. Anyway, last night Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator.
I wonder what this little sauce is doing on the floor.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped, more like it was put there, deliberately.
Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here?
What? A leak?
Is the ship quite safe?
I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink.
No, you're right. Of course you're right.
She's really trying to pursue herself, isn't she? Ich glaube eher, dass das was für das Tier ist, das Miss Pavlova dabei hat. There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it.
Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballad last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all.
That's true. I wonder what kind of book she liked to read.
Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading. Books written in Russian.
Thanks. I think I probably already knew that.
It's rude to ask so much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket.
Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away?
Naruhodo-san, It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know?
Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now.
However, these are special circumstances, I think.
Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all.
Oh well, that's a little disappointing. It would seem this teapot is empty.
So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people.
Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night. She hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either.
It's definitely that they are excessively thirsty. I would lay 1,000 to 1 on it.
You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san?
Aber mehr können wir hier nicht angucken. Ich meine, okay, wir können uns jetzt wieder das Regelwerk hier angucken. Ah yes, they are displaced in this cabin too. Look, there's a spurious rule of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean.
I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine.
I just hope Seaman Stroganov doesn't find it and throw it overboard.
Oh, yes, so do I. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside.
Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across if it's of its own accord, would it?
No, and the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside.
And it seals up perfectly too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door either.
I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Aber mehr können wir jetzt hier uns nicht wirklich angucken. Nee. Das scheint alles zu sein, was wir uns hier angucken können. Okay. Ich würde eigentlich auch gerne hier diese Tasche untersuchen, aber das darf ich leider nicht. Gut. Dann bleibt uns nichts anderes übrig, als wieder nach draußen zu gehen. Und... Ach ja. Da ist er wieder, unser großer Detektiv, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Und mit ihm hier werden wir ein Pläuschen haben, aber erst im nächsten Part. Wie immer bedanke ich mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen, hoffe ihr hattet Spaß und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!